launched its election manifesto in Pretoria yesterday. Party leader John Steenhuisen announced his party's top 7 priorities, which include creating 2 million jobs, ending load and water shedding, decreasing violent crime rates, amongst others. Steenhuisen described the DA's manifesto as South Africa's rescue plan. Well, joining us to unpack this is political analyst Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Prof, good morning. Good afternoon, actually. Thanks for speaking to us. Now, I'd like to start off with the feasibility of the DA's goal of creating 2 million new jobs. Now, a big part of what we saw, from what I understand from the manifesto yesterday, was a number of goals, but the strategy on how to achieve those goals. Let's talk about the 2 million jobs. How feasible do you think that is?
Hugo, thank you very much for having me. At a glance, I think the manifesto of the DA has a mixed bag. On the one hand, it has some gaps. On the other hand, it has some strong points. So one of the gaps of the manifesto is this notion of creating 2 million jobs. In theory, it's a good idea because the majority of people in this country are on the margins of the economy. Unemployment is sitting at 32%, and South Africa is having the highest inequality on a global scale, and we've got also a magnitude of poverty. So those are the 3 challenges. And the idea of creating jobs, I think, will go a long way in terms of addressing the security threats. But the challenge is that you need to tell us which sectors of the economy are going to create those jobs. You can't just say you're going to create 2 million jobs. You must be specific. Where are those jobs going to come from, and who is going to create those jobs? So I think it missed a golden opportunity on that score to lay bare those facts. But on the other hand, the manifesto does have a strong point, which is an appreciation of complexity, in the sense that the manifesto is not founded on one model of development. The manifesto is underpinned by different models of development. Let me explain that. On the one hand, there's an aspect of neoliberalism, because he speaks about renewable energy, doing away with power outage and water load shedding, which is good. But the challenge is that the private sector is concerned about personal accumulation as opposed to promoting development for the majority. So that's the challenge. But that is an expression of market fundamentalism or privatization of services. So that is an expression of neoliberalism. But on the other hand, the DA, even in that manifesto, he spoke about supporting grants. He spoke about continuing with grants. But that is not a free market system. That is state interventionism. So those are the complexities which I'm talking about.
So are there potential challenges or barriers that the DA might face in fulfilling this promise, particularly in the context of South Africa's current economic landscape? I mean, when we talk about 5 million jobs, I'd imagine that's over a 5-year period in which they would be in power if they did win the election. It speaks to 400,000 jobs a year. So it's a fair number of jobs.
I'm sorry, Hugo, I missed that question.
So the DA is proposing 400,000 jobs a year in the 5-year tenure that they would be in government if they did win the election. What are some of the challenges they're likely to face in the context of South Africa's current economic challenges?
Yeah, I think we have an educational system that is broken down. Because if you want to absorb people in the labor market, you need skilled people. But not only, I'm not trying to be funny, but one of the challenges that we have in this country is that we think that going to the university is the only way out of poverty. That's good. I mean, if you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a teacher, blah, 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 you can go to the university. But I think as human beings, we are talented in different ways. Not all of us should go to the university. Some people are gifted to become musicians, plumbers. So we need to encourage those artisanry skills which are not found at the university. So you've got to address that at an educational level. Okay, I know there's a difference between training and education, but we need training facilities to deal with that, to produce those skills. Yes, I understand that unemployment is not caused by lack of skills only, but also by the structure of the economy, because sometimes when you have people with the right skills, the argument is that they don't have the experience. So every time people try to tick the boxes, they change the goalposts. But I think the first thing that needs to be addressed is the educational sector. It needs to be addressed so that we can have the right skills for the economy.
Now, the DA also aims to halve the rate of violent crime, including murder and gender-based violence. What specific policies or interventions did you pick up from their manifesto regarding these issues, which are absolutely key to many facets of life in South Africa?
Well, Hugo, they spoke about devolution of powers of police forums. That is very interesting, because I'm not sure in what context are they invoking that conception. Are they talking about the argument they have been advancing of breaking away from South Africa, of federalism? Or are they talking about basically allowing citizens in their localities to participate in police forums? I support one of the best international practices, which is community police partnership. Because addressing the issue of crime is not only something which can be done by security officers or police officers. You also need the involvement of members of communities, because they know the criminals. They know the people who are breaking the law. So that's the model which I'm supporting, but not the one that, creates a scope for the DA to consolidate its argument that Western Cape must break away from the country because they want to do everything by themselves.
One of the things that the DA has said that they will do is they'll break away from the issue of cadre deployment. And we know that they've gone to the court, and the ANC has now been compelled to give minutes or any communications around cadre deployment processes. How effective is this likely to be in the new government, if it is indeed a DA government, or at least a DA that is anchoring the government as they suggest?
I've got a mixed bag of views on that score. Part of me thinks that the decisions of the ANC on matters of cadre deployment have had national consequences. At the moment, we are sitting with the challenge of power outages. That partly is a result of some of the wrong decisions made by the ANC in terms of deploying the wrong people, not on merit. So the ANC cannot invoke the right to privacy and say that they cannot share those documents, because the decisions that they've made have affected us, different sectors of the economy. But at the same time, I support cadre deployment, because it's not an ANC thing. It's an international phenomenon. Politics and administration are like two sides of the same coin. In the US, each and every administration is named after the president. The Bush's administration, the Obama's administration, the Trump's administration, the Biden's administration. At top management level, you need to deploy. So long as those people are appointed on merit, they've got the qualifications, they've got the experience. In 2006, when Helen Zille became the mayor of Cape Town via a coalition arrangement, the first thing that she did was to get rid of the municipal manager. Why? Because she appreciates the symbiotic relationship between politics and administration. You must deploy at a strategic level. By strategic level, I mean at top management level. But you can't deploy it at middle management level. You can't deploy a director, a manager. Those people must just be professionals. But deployment, I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing, so long as it is done properly. Look at China. China is one of the examples of Asian tigers. It's one of the examples of developmental states. It has been successful, China, in terms of addressing unemployment, poverty. They deploy, but they deploy on merit. In fact, some people even say in China, they even deploy deans at the university. You deploy cadres because you want people who are going to transform society. There's nothing wrong about that. But deploy the right people, of which the ANC has done the exact opposite.
So let's talk focus a little bit on the ANC and as far as that cadre deployment is concerned, because it is an important issue that you do raise on the qualifications and merit. Now, merit and qualification don't always go together. In fact, I mean, you talk about a symbiotic relationship, you know. So merit and qualifications are not synonymous. Is this where the ANC has got it wrong? I mean, we've read in many instances of individuals in various municipalities that are unable to read a basic spreadsheet or look at budgets and improve those. But obviously that is a problem, which might explain why billions of rand are being taken back to Treasury and are going unspent, much to the chagrin of people in the local municipalities.
I think you've hit the nail on the head on that score, that the ANC has made a mockery of the practice of cadre deployment. It has made a laughing stock out of it, as if it's a wrong practice. You can't deploy a person because this person is loyal to the party only, or because this is your friend, I'm sorry to say this, or this is your girlfriend and boyfriend and so on. You don't deploy it like that. You deploy in relation to the skills that the person has, in relation to the experience that the person has. You know, and then you deploy on the basis of that, but not willy-nilly. But deployment is also done by the DA. If you go to the municipalities, people in strategic positions are people who are members of the DA. There's nothing wrong about that. But don't say when it's done by someone else, it's wrong. But I think maybe to give them the benefit of the doubt, the point they are making is that the people who have been deployed are not the people who hold the right qualifications and who have the right experience. Maybe that's the argument that they are making, and in that regard, I support them, even though I don't think that they initiated this move in good faith. There are politics, and fortunately, the ruling that was made on Monday will feed into their campaign.
There's a number I want to discuss, Professor, and that's 6 million. The DA aims to lift 6 million people out of poverty. What strategies does their manifesto propose to achieve this goal, and how do these plans differ from existing poverty alleviation initiatives in South Africa? I mean, 6 million is a massive number. So anybody who's in a position of poverty, and that speaks to 10% of the country, if they're talking about 6 million, will be looking at that number and say, you know what, I want to be one of those people that's lifted out of poverty. But what is the practical side to it?
Remember, Hugo, I said to you earlier on, there was a lack of specificity. And that is a significant omission. They did not lay bare the facts in terms of how they are going to do that. But my assumption based on what they said is that maybe some of those jobs will come from the renewable energy projects. My view is that renewable energy is synonymous to privatization, but it's a nice lexicon. You see, when you say renewable energy, you are avoiding criticism, as opposed to employing the concept of privatization. That's a buzzword. People don't want to hear that, privatization. You can get a lot of backlash from trade unions and so on. So when you employ the concept of renewable energy, you are able to get away with murder. So I'm assuming that the bulk of those jobs will come from renewable energy. Also, they said they want to end water shedding. I suppose that they're talking about, initiating service providers, private service providers. But you see, I mean, I understand the argument. The argument is that, for instance, Eskom cannot be a monopoly because it is failing us to supply us with power. Therefore, restructure Eskom, introduce renewable energy. Part of me thinks that maybe the problem is politically engineered on purpose so that we lose faith in Eskom and support the idea of renewable energy. And now the Western Cape is being used as a case in point to support the successes of the DA. So the argument I'm making is that I assume that the bulk of the jobs will come from those renewable energy initiatives.
Professor Breakfast, thank you so much for your time. Political analyst Ntsikelelo Breakfast, unpacking for us the DA's election manifesto and now.